understand what I'm about to tell you, you need to do something first. You need to believe in the impossible. Can you do that?
What do you desire that you can't have?
When I eat a brain, I get visions.
Don't ever come back to Gotham.
You have failed this city.
Jesus, what kind of a preacher are you?
There's about a dozen ways that I could stop you right now. But I don't think I have to.
Now you should at least give a brother a moment to say something heroically clever.
In the future, my friends may not be heroes, but if we succeed, they will be remembered as legends.
Welcome to the DC TV report for the week ending Saturday, March 17th, 2018. I'm Edward O'Hare, nickname to be determined.
And I'm Sara Netzley, academic by day, freelance writer by night.
We're here to bring you recaps, news, and commentary for all live-action television shows based on DC Comics.
And we have 6 new episodes this week.
Yes, 6 episodes. Yeah.
I have to admit, in my notes, Ed, I have for the week ending Saturday, St. Patrick's Day. I didn't even bother with the date. Just, St. Patrick's Day. So is this big where you live? Are there big revelries and things?
Yeah. Although, for some reason, Staten Island usually has its Thanksgiving Day parade, like, the week before, or, like, 2 weeks before. I don't know why, because they don't want to... Because Staten Island, it wants to have its own thing. It doesn't want to conflict with anything in Manhattan.
Sure.
And there's a big strip of bars down this one street on Forest Avenue, and it's a lot of fun. I actually haven't been in a couple of years, but...
It's a lot of fun. I never go.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just the parking, and then, and just being inebriated, realize, I shouldn't have drove here.
Okay, we need to circle back. You mentioned Thanksgiving parade. Did you mean St. Patrick's?
I meant St. Patrick's Day parade.
Okay.
I did.
It's strange that your head went to turkeys, but
yeah. Okay. I don't know why.
What's going to be even weirder is if we play it back and you actually said St. Patrick's Day and I just heard Thanksgiving. That's a possibility too.
No, I probably said that. I probably said Thanksgiving. Not a huge corned beef fan.
No, and also I don't super love Guinness, so I do feel like.
I like Guinness. I like Guinness. Jameson's is. I mean, whiskey's good. Whiskey's always good.
The takeaway, whiskey's good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. How do they do things in Illinois?
Well, Chicago has the huge dye the river green, kind of, sort of. The river is pretty gross to begin with, so that's a little harder. And I've actually not hit the Chicago St. Patrick's Day scene. 3 hours south where I am, we have a big parade in town. But actually, my husband's office is a block away from the parade route, so we have good parking and we can kind of hang out in the building. It's supposed to be icy rain tomorrow, so I think it's only going to be the diehards. All I know is the parade. A lot of the big Irish families in town do floats, and they all walk in it. It's a lot of fun, and they always have dogs, and they spray paint the dogs in the orange and the green of the Irish flag, which is my favorite thing. The spray painted dogs is really what I'm in it for, and the Shamrock Shakes. So.
Oh, well,
this has been your German-British heritage report on St. Patrick's Day in downstate Illinois.
All right. Well, we had a lot of shows to get to. One email we got from our buddy Dan. Now I'm going to break this up into pieces because he
covered a lot of ground.
Yeah, he does cover a lot of ground. One thing, he started, thank you for your continued podcasting excellence on all TV shows DC related. It would be awesome if you can get sponsored by a big magazine that is all about entertainment. Insert winky emoji here. Just a thought.
Like weekly entertainment, possibly?
Possibly.
Oh, I'll make some phone calls.
Yeah. One general question he has is, will you be upset or relieved if any of the longer DC TV shows are not renewed? I, for one, would be happy to get back at least an hour of my time. should say Arrow finish its run. And he gives a full breakdown of where he would place all of the other Arrow characters within the Arrowverse, which I thought was funny.
Yeah, we kind of want Arrow to be canceled, but we don't want to lose the characters. We just want them to go to other shows. I don't know. It kills me to say this, but the last 2 seasons of Arrow have been pretty hit or miss in terms of quality. It's been really good, but it's been really bad too. So I'm not saying I'm ready to say goodbye to Arrow, but if it got canceled, I'd be sad, but I'd understand. And I would have an hour of my life back. Yeah. How do you feel about that?
I mean, I don't know. I think, I don't think it's going to get canceled, but I can see them, especially because Stephen Amell, it seems like he has pretty high standards, and he's, he doesn't want to be doing this for a long time. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe next season or the year after they announce that this is going to be the final season.
And I like it when shows do that. I like, or when networks do that, when you give the show the courtesy of saying, here's your last season, so whatever you've been saving up, whatever you've been wanting to get to, the ending you've been wanting to hit, now is the time. There's nothing I hate worse than, you jerk a show off the schedule and say you're done, and you leave the audience unfulfilled. So, yeah, if it's going to end, I hope it's not this season. I hope they can marshal their best efforts if that's what they do. But I agree with you. I don't think Arrow's going to be canceled. I don't think any of them are going to be canceled.
Yeah.
But the rest of them, I don't know. I as much as I've been struggling with Flash this season, I'd hate to see that go. I feel like there's some life in Flash yet. I don't feel like any of them are super long in the tooth. I don't know. Maybe I'm just too rosy about it, but...
Well, I mean, there is one show that I think is maybe on the chopping block, but we'll get to that show when we talk about it tonight.
All right.
But yeah, and just one other general question that he had. He just wants to know, which characters would you be happy if you never saw again, and which past characters do you hope you will never ever see the light of day again? I would say a couple of characters. Well, I mean, I know your answer.
I mean, if you've been listening to this show, you know that my answer is Hawk people. Go away and stay away. And they have, to be fair. We have not seen the Hawk people darken our door, and that's excellent.
Yeah. I mean, to me, there's no characters that I don't ever want to see again. There are some characters I wish we had a second chance at.
Ooh, that's interesting.
And I think Hawkman and Hawkgirl could be one of those, because there's a great show in there. Like, if you read the Jeff Johns run, because it's the whole thing, it's kind of the same setup where she's much younger and doesn't really remember any of her past lives, and he remembers all of it. And there's a very sweet love story in there about people learning to love each other.
When you describe it like that, I would really like to see that. All right, yeah. I take back what I said. Let's do a hard reboot on the Hawk people.
Yeah.
I get control over casting.
Yeah.
One character I think they really whiffed was Laurel Lance. That I don't know if it was an actor writing fit or what was the disconnect there, but I never enjoyed that character from the beginning. And I'm not a big reader of that particular comic, but I keep meaning to, because I've heard such amazing things about, Dinah Laurel Lance. It seems to me that based on the comic people I've talked to, that was a missed opportunity. And I love Felicity, and I love the relationship that obviously Oliver has with her, and I wouldn't want to change that necessarily, but I do wish that character had been better conceived, better cast, better written, better something than alcoholic DA, suddenly badass vigilante after a week of calisthenics. Just really disappointing.
Yeah. Okay, so here's the deal.
Go.
So here's the deal. They never meant to have Black Canary in this show. At least, because it would make no sense to have cast Katie Cassidy as Laurel Lance there, or to have her working as a lawyer. Because the Laurel Lance, the Dinah Laurel Lance in the comics, is pretty much White Canary from, Black Canary from season 2. Like, she is a trained assassin. She basically, and I still think, to me, Olicity is great, but to me, like, the best relationship I've seen on screen was season 2 of Arrow with Oliver and Sara.
I really liked it too. I know that is not popular in a lot of segments of the internet, both people who want the Canaro relationship and who enjoy Felicity, but I really liked Sarah Lance. I agree. I thought that was a relationship of equals, and they both had their damage, and yeah, they didn't have a great start with the cheating and the sneaking and the sister and the whatnot, but I've always liked the way Sarah Lance has been portrayed and her strength and her vulnerabilities, and yeah. I like what she's doing on Legends of Tomorrow now. So she's not one I would want to go away or get another bite of the apple at. I think she is perfect the way she is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So basically, the relationship in the comics is very similar to that season without all of the baggage at the beginning.
Okay.
But yeah, just read, especially the stuff, the run that Benjamin Percy had with Green Arrow and Black, in Green Arrow comics, where Black Canary is a secondary character. That is just tons of fun. And there was another run in the early aughts. I think the title was actually called Green Arrow, Black Canary at the time.
Well, I've been eyeballing the New 52 run and thinking that I just like the cover art. Honestly, I'm so easy, but it looked, the dynamic they show on the covers caught my eye, and I thought, I'd like to read that. So
yeah, I would actually start with Rebirth, the Green Arrow after Rebirth. That's a great place to start with that. And
that is not what the question was.
No, it wasn't. We're already 11 minutes in. We haven't started a show, so sorry, Dan. That's the best you're gonna get. I will get to your other questions as with those shows as we come up to them. And we have some other tweets that we're gonna talk about too. Are we ready to start? We're ready to start, right?
Let's dive into Lucifer.
All right, so Lucifer. Season 3, Episode 17, Let Pinhead Sing. Lucifer tried being friendly to everyone else in the precinct in an effort to ignore his feelings for Chloe. Chloe and Lucy investigated the murder of a backup dancer at a pop concert. Charlotte tried to mediate Mazikeen and Dr. Linda's recent spat. Ella noticed Pierce was feeling blue and asked Dan to try to get the lieutenant's spirits up. Last minute reveal, Lucy watched Chloe and Marcus leave the precinct on a date, and then he rushed to Dr. Linda to admit he made a mistake letting Chloe go.
In Pierce's long, long life, apparently he has not absorbed the lesson bros before hoes, which is not a thing that I particularly enjoy. I find it, disrespectful all the way around, whatever. Feminist rant here. But, he watched Lucifer and Chloe have this huge moment and was moved by it, and was so moved that he asked Chloe out. Come on, man. That's not the lesson. That's not the lesson of the week. Not cool.
I'm guessing he's not going to be your winner tonight?
No.
No. Yeah. Well, although it's funny, he has this one, Dan takes him out, and Marcus actually has that moment with Amenadiel during another incredible dance number. Incredible song and dance number. Oh, where they were singing, where Lucifer and Azara, the pop star that they were protecting, in a really, really poor way.
Really haphazard.
Yeah. Basically, she had a Lucifer forced himself into a duet of I Will Survive, and that is one of the best showstoppers, one of the best dance numbers I've seen on TV. I think that rivals what they did in Vegas with Luck Me and Lady, and they did the whole song Because I guess once you start, you can't just truncate that. Am I right?
Yeah, you can't just you can't just do a couple of bars and be like, you guys know the rest. You know how it goes. Spoiler alert, she survives. When I liked the symbolism of it, because you had when they were at his loft and they were sort of at odds with one another, trying to run scales and things and sing together, and it was truly painful to listen to. And so by the time this comes around, they've clicked musically, and things are kind of cooking again with that relationship.
Yeah.
Lucifer and the pop star who we will never see again. But I thought that was kind of cool. But I agree. I enjoyed the singing very much.
Yeah. Tom Ellis has incredible chops. Because you felt, I don't know. I always feel like with musicals, you try to fit the lines, but you felt the emotions going into his singing. You know what I mean? Like he wasn't just trying to imitate whichever 70s singer was popular for singing that song. Like, he actually put intent and emotion and made choices in the way that he sung he sang those notes.
It's strange. I enjoy his performance. I mean, he's the reason we all watch Lucifer, obviously. And yet I have never really looked up his other work. I've never checked out other movies he's been in. I've never gone back to find old TV roles. I should really do that sometime. I'd love to see him do something a little more dramatic. I'd love to see him do something even funnier. I don't know what's out there for him, but if any listeners have a Tom Ellis non-Lucifer project they adore, let me know, because I'd love to dig up something that would make me fall in love with him even more.
Yeah.
In a non-creepy internet stalker way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Now, if I can criticize a little bit this episode, I don't feel like what Lucifer did was that much worse or weirder than what he often does. And Chloe got all mopey sad sack and then accepted the date with Pierce because Lucifer tried to push her away. Lucifer acts so strangely. He's so erratic. He's so all over the place. To me, this didn't feel like that much more of a breach of their usual relationship that made her do this, separate herself from Lucifer thing. So that, to me, this felt like characters behaving in ways that served where we need to get for the plot, as opposed to organic to the characters themselves. Yeah. And that bothered me a little bit. I don't know. Maybe I was just maybe I just was grumpy when I was watching it.
Yeah. I still don't buy that love triangle.
Oh, no. The Pierce thing doesn't work at all.
No, definitely not.
Also, if you see somebody in Act 1 making a smoothie for somebody else, that person is 100% the murderer. 100%. I've got you your shake. It has these weird ingredients in it that I had to do just right. Yeah, you're going to murder somebody. Y'all murdered somebody. That's how that works.
Yeah. Although, what did you think of Lucifer's smoothie making skills?
Oh, Lucifer. Mm-hmm. All I know is I feel bad for both of them because turmeric stains like a mother. So they're going to have to throw those clothes away.
Yeah. And we also had, Charlotte having the most awkward mediation scene I've ever seen.
I love that Charlotte clearly regretted everything. Oh, I'm just trying to stay out of hell, and this is my thanks. So, are you understanding of where Maze is coming from, or are you, like me, irritated at her irrationality?
Yeah, no. Now, this has to be the fact that she's a hellspawn who is living in, who wasn't on Earth for 5,000 years and has no real concept of human emotion. Like, I don't understand. I mean, telling you, I don't even remember her and Amenadiel being a thing. So, this whole thing seems very contrived to me. And I am so angry because, I mean, every time you see Rachel Harris cry, you want to jump through the screen and choke somebody. Even if they are trained.
So true.
Yeah. Even if they are trained in deadly weapons.
You would fight Maze for Rachel Harris. I respect that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I understand Maze's hurt feelings because they lied, they snuck around, they knew they shouldn't, and they did it anyway. I get it. But this is a murderous rage beyond what I can really understand. And I think any good friend is going to see how torn up your friend is by what she did and by the apologies. I don't know. I guess I haven't been on the receiving end of that kind of betrayal in quite some time. So maybe the pain isn't fresh enough for me, but I think Maid needs to pull up her pants and get over it. Not pull up, like adjust her belt. Like, ooh, that was a terrible metaphor. I didn't mean, let's just move past that.
Yeah.
Like, hitch up her belt. Hitch up her, adjust the suspenders. That's what I'm saying. Adjust the suspenders and move on.
Yeah.
Woo, all right. Lucifer.
Yeah, it was intense. Anything more in this episode, or is there any news?
A little bit of news, just that showrunner Joe Henderson apparently gets asked pretty often whether Constantine will ever appear on Lucifer, and he finally took to Twitter to say no, basically, that Lucifer is part of the Arrowverse now, Constantine's part of the Arrowverse now, Lucifer is not part of the Arrowverse, so no. He says never say never, but no. So, sorry, Constantine.
Yeah, I'm not sure what direct connection. I know Constantine showed up in a couple of issues of Sandman early on, but then Neil Gaiman eventually kind of broke off that from the rest of the DC universe. So I think it's just because Constantine's stories kind of have a similar tone as Lucifer. Although I will say I do like the idea of Matt Ryan as John Constantine being kind of like Richard Belzer as Detective Munch, and just have him show up in all of these shows in some way, shape, or form.
But I kind of want Constantine to show up in, Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah.
Days of Our Lives. NCIS. Let's see Constantine pop up and be like, "What's up, NCIS? I'm here to help."
Yeah, that would be weird. I want to see what that EW recap would be like, because you recap that show too.
It would be all caps. Yes, I do recap NCIS also, and it would be just like, did you guys freaking see Constantine? Just yeah.
I can imagine all of your regular readers trying to figure out who the hell he is.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that the Venn diagram of crossover viewers is pretty low.
Yeah,
it's me and my friend Tanya. I think that's it. The NCIS / people who know Constantine overlap.
All right. Well, that's it with Lucifer. Marching onward to DC's Legends of Tomorrow. Season 3, Episode 14, Amazing Grace. The sudden disappearance of all things rock and roll from history led the Legends to 1954 Memphis, where Elvis Presley was just starting out playing a haunted guitar. Wally befriended Zari and adjusted to life as a legend. Mick's pet rat Axel was suddenly renamed Josh Groban, and Mick struggled to protect his little buddy from all the craziness going on. Last-minute reveal: ghostly mist was seen on the Wave Rider, and the lockbox Ray made for the Death Totem started to shake.
Did you think that you would be talking about a haunted guitar when this past week began? Because I sure didn't.
No. Although, it's funny, I was a little surprised that Constantine didn't show up in this one, because there was an episode of the NBC show that involved a haunted acetate recording, just a vinyl record that evidently had the voice of God on it. So whenever someone played it, they burst into flames, or just died instantly or something. So it felt like a similar storyline there. But yeah. What did you think of Elvis?
Well, if you can't say something nice, visually, I guess kind of he got there. Mm-hmm. It was clearly lip syncing all the way through. It felt a little cheesy, fan servicey. He wasn't helped by the terrible CGI on the ghosts. This episode started off so promisingly for me. I love it when little ripples happen, when it's not Guitar Hero, it's Trombone Hero. When Nate's hair is suddenly super floppy. Things like that. I love that. Ooh, what happened and what are the waves that come from it? And then it just kind of steadily went downhill for me. So, yeah, I mean, he was probably pretty as good as can be expected on a short run CW DC show, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you?
Yeah. You know, it's funny. I could see on Twitter when he ended up in that recording studio, people immediately started tweeting out, that song was not on Elvis's first demo, which evidently is out there and people can find. And you know, I guess they couldn't get the rights to that song. But
I wondered. I didn't bother to look it up. That's the quality of work you get from the DC TV report. I didn't bother to Google it, but I wondered if that was the first song. It didn't feel right, I guess. Mm-hmm. Have you been to Graceland by any chance?
No.
I've been to Graceland. I have seen the Jungle Room. It's amazing. But there are people who, when we were there, it was probably 10 years ago, there were people just sobbing at his grave. Sobbing. People feel very strongly about Elvis. I wondered how the Twitter reaction would be when you have some, young upstart lip syncing the King's stuff. I liked the gospel, I will say. I enjoyed that. I thought a lot of the lines were kind of forced and cheesy and, let this stay in the jailhouse rock some sense into you. Groan. Just collective groan from America. The turnaround his uncle did. He gets one heartfelt speech from one of the legends and he's like, oh, you're right. I'll let him sing. No, that's not how people work.
Yeah.
Southern preacher.
Yeah. No. I don't even think that Zari and Nate stay in that room. I feel like the second they approach him, he just kicks them out and gets them out of here. And there's no way that he does not break that record in half.
Yeah. Oh, I thought for sure he was going to say, oh, yeah, this is sure. I'll do that. Snap. And then he didn't. And I was very surprised. Mm-hmm. This show also is amazingly glib about interracial couples. And frankly, anybody who's not white being places in times when it would have been a little more problematic. And in general, not to get too, but this was a very upbeat episode about cultural appropriation. I thought everybody's like, oh yeah, Elvis, he's doing great things. Well, it was a whole bar full of black people who were like, yeah, look at that kid go. That's Elvis cultural appropriation. So just Legends is a little, like I said, a little glib about race relations. Always. And this episode made it particularly obvious and kind of glaring to me.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because this show has good representation, cultural representation, but
oh, definitely great diversity in the cast, but
when you deal with a show about time travel, where most places that you go to that doesn't really exist. It's interesting how they spread it out. Although I will say one high point for this, I thought was when Zari and Wally showed up at the church to talk to the uncle, and Wally talked about his dad. That was to me like a stronger emotional beat than anything that character ever did on The Flash.
They've already, I think, used him better on Legends than they have on The Flash.
Yeah, like he's already much cooler, and I realized, oh, that's why I like this character. I always thought Bill Sweeney was our executive producer, our esteemed executive producer, Bill Sweeney. Was always very, very hard on this character, and he always thought it was the actor's fault, and that's why they never gave him anything to do. And in this, I thought he was very competent. And I was very impressed, and and now I would say I don't think it's the actor's fault.
Plus, he got to be Miss Pac-Man and chase ghosts.
Yes,
that was cool.
Yeah. Although after he had that moment, I was very surprised that Elvis's uncle didn't just turn him and call him an N-word. That's a great story, N-word.
I'm saying, I don't want to see that, but it just don't sugarcoat this.
No, I didn't want to see it either, but I feel like if they were going to be realistic to the time, that's what he would have said.
And some Timeless on NBC, which just came back this past week for season 2, kind of by a miracle, that has dealt with race and time travel, I think, a little bit better, where you had a black character who really grappled with, I don't want to, I forgot the details, I don't want to protect this person, or I want to change this thing because it will be so much better for my people. So there is a way to do it without it being too heavy-handed, and it was a really interesting conflict. And I'm not trying to, rake Legends over the coals, because I do enjoy this show, and I think it's having a fun season. But there was something about Elvis performing to a crowd full of smiling black people when he took that music and he's the. All right, I'll pull myself back, but you see what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know where you're going.
Also, those were terrible CGI ghosts. But do we need to say a word for Axel? Axel!
We hardly knew ye. I think this was also one of Ray's. Ray Palmer is the best.
You will get no argument from me.
That
little speech he gave. I bet you when I was small, I thought you were going to eat me.
And that's one of those things, it's so sweet and so innocent how fast that he put all of that together, that, it's the kind of thing I hope I would do if I were in that same situation. And it's kind of, it's weird because Sara and Mick start out by basically indulging Ray, and then Mick just gets all swept up in it. And yeah, it was a great moment for a dead rat.
And the dedication at the end of the episode was very nice as well.
Oh yeah. But, all right. Any news from Legends?
Not so much. Next week, Constantine is back, so tune in.
Yay! Okay. All right. Anything more to say in this episode, or are you ready to move on?
Let's move on.
All right. So, iZombie. Season 4, Episode 3, Brainless in Seattle, Part 1. Liv made the few brains left of a hopeless romantic obsessed with rom-coms into adorable little chocolates. Peyton and Ravi got dragged by Liv to a humans night at the scratching post and discovered Dale is cheating on Clive. Chase made a deal to leave Blaine alone if he could deliver the scratch-happy coyote named Renegade. Last-minute reveal, Liv and Clive discovered a bunch of half-burned cracked skulls in a creepy basement and learned they were tracking a serial killer.
Rom-com brain.
Yeah. And who's that actor? Is it Sam Huntington, the guy who was in Almost Human or Being Human?
Yeah.
The
one of those is a robot show and one of those is a werewolf show, for the record.
Yes. I think I'm talking about Being Human.
Yes.
Yeah. That actor who I've seen in a lot of things has this great moment. It's funny, he's not in this a lot, so I'm thinking he may show up in the second part of this two-parter. But just that moment that he has talking with Liv about Bridget Jones and everything else, I thought that was spectacular.
I've kind of had that conversation with people. Mm-hmm. Oh, he's a Darcy. Yeah, I've been there. So, as someone who enjoys the rom-coms, I really did enjoy this. I was a little worried that it would be, too much. But I mean, all of the brains are too much. Mm-hmm. So I have enjoyed it and Liv just falling in love and then falling in love again and then falling in love again. And Major just being like, yeah, no, I had a long day. I cannot deal with this. So... Also, Major reporting to Chase Graves, sir, there's been a scratching. Tickled me. It tickled me.
Yeah. And how is that the only, there was one scene for 2.5 minutes on that whole incident. And it didn't come up at all again during the episode.
It feels like there should have been much more public outcry, and this should have been a much bigger thing, I would think.
Well, evidently they stopped it from being leaked, which I don't know how that happens. But
yeah, I don't buy it. Everything leaks.
Mm-hmm.
Have I forgotten how Ravi and Peyton ended their relationship? I thought they were not in a good place.
No, they weren't.
So why are they palling around at a bar? It just doesn't make any sense.
Well, no, because they both got dragged there by Liv.
But they did, but they felt a lot friendlier than I expected them to be. That's what made me say, did I not remember this?
Yeah, I think they were both looking out for Liv, and that kind of caused them to get friendlier with each other.
And I guess time has passed also. I mean, I just felt like there was a lot of strong, hard feelings, and I was surprised they could bury it so easily. But time has passed. So.
Yeah. Plus, I think Peyton dating Blaine for a while made Ravi look a lot nicer in comparison.
That's true, although I don't think Ravi's going to get over that anytime soon. I mean, I didn't think he would, but apparently he did because they just seemed fine. So, I don't know. I feel like they hit reset on a couple of relationships over the break, and that's okay. That's okay. It's still entertaining me. Also, makeover scene. You could not have rom-com brain without a makeover.
Oh, that midriff.
Perfect. It was perfect. He delivered the sass he needed to deliver.
I'm just saying, that belly shirt. I don't know. But yeah, the brain chocolates. I feel like we should make those. Like those.
We could make those.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, without what could we substitute? Strawberries for brains.
I mean, maybe some type of marshmallow. Something gelatinous.
Has anybody put out an iZombie cookbook?
No.
Because like Game of Thrones has a companion cookbook, for example. You see a lot of these. There has to be an iZombie cookbook. And if not, can you and I put it out and retire on our millions?
Yeah, it would be great. I mean, the hard part's going to be purchasing the license, but I mean, there has to be a montage on YouTube somewhere of all of the brain cookings for each season. And if not, someone please make that. Because she gets really creative. And like now, because they're in season 4, it's not like you can't just throw anything in a frying pan. I think this is really kind of fun. That
did they used to be quite so on theme in past seasons?
I feel like it went back and forth. I think I
just feel like they've been really on theme this season, and I've enjoyed it. But I don't remember it being quite that pointed in the past. But I wasn't, podcasting about it before, so I watched, but I didn't watch taking notes. So.
Well, yeah, I think earlier hot sauce also featured a lot more. Because like that was the thing, like because that was the only thing that they could taste, and I don't feel like hot sauce has been as much. Although it was in the buffalo wings I think last week, but yeah. Well,
you wouldn't want hot sauce in your chocolate. Although I guess cayenne pepper in chocolate can be really good, so I retract. Yeah. I made some cayenne brownies once that were to die for. Mm-hmm. Yeah, not in the iZombie way, just like you'd want to eat them.
Yeah, and would you go to Humans Night at the Scratching Post? Because
never, ever, ever.
No.
Not even once.
No.
Not even for money.
And
not even for major. No. That's what I meant to say.
Yeah. And let's talk a little bit about Blaine.
He remains awesome.
Yeah. He really fits as a restaurateur. And I feel like that conversation he has with his fish supplier, with his brain supplier, is like the same kind of conversation that restaurants have with their meat or fish suppliers every day. Like, you do not go to Ladorn first. How dare you?
Yeah, he definitely has that sort of hotshot bad boy chef thing going on that I think is sort of glamorized in pop culture. So I enjoy that.
Yeah. And his moment with Anthony. We had a huge reveal. We know where those cures went.
Yeah, was it really a huge reveal, though? I mean, I know that they've been wanting us to guess, but obviously Blaine had the cure. Like, of course he does.
Yeah.
I just, in the universe of characters who would have it, yeah, it's Blaine. To me, that was kind of underwhelming. It was, had I had to guess, he would have been my top 5 guesses.
Yeah.
So, now, have Clive have the cure. That would be surprising. What?
Yeah.
Clive? That would have been, but Blaine, yeah, of course. But it's out there now. We know that. So I look forward to seeing what they do with it.
However, what he did with it in this episode, I think, was truly abhorrent.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yeah, just saying. Cool. All right. Any news from iZombie?
No real news.
No real news. Okay. So, all right. Guess that's it. Moving on to The Flash, Season 4, Episode 16. Run, Iris, run. Ralph was a useless grump, worried for his safety and calling out Iris for not braving the field. An EMT with the ability to swap metapowers between people took Barry's speed away from him and gave it to Iris. Wells discovered how the Thinker got his powers and tried creating a helmet to boost his intelligence, despite objections from Cisco. Last-minute reveal, with help from Cisco, Harrison used his new thinking cap to figure out the names of the last 2 bus metas.
I don't think that thinking cap is going to be good for Harry Wells.
No.
I don't think that's a good idea at all.
No. Yeah, I mean, that's something like you've got to destroy at the end of the season. Otherwise, he becomes next season's big bad.
And I don't want that.
No.
Nobody wants that. I mean, we can always get a new Harry. We can go shopping in another Earth for a new Harry, but I like our Harry. And he also was just the villain. I mean, just season 1, but
yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. Everybody hates Ralph Dibny. I get that. But Joe called Ralph's powers nauseating? That's kind of harsh, Joe. Joe's the character I like the most on Flash, so don't take that away from me, Joe. Don't power shame.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I don't know. I think that was just Joe sticking up for Iris.
Who was a lot of fun. I did enjoy watching Iris get to do all of the Flash stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, it's weird. There was one moment where she called herself the leader of this team, and I just took, I don't know why, it just took me back, like, whoa, hang on a second, let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Well, she's been saying that all season.
Yeah, I don't know why. For some reason in this episode, it kind of stuck with me, and I don't believe it. I don't like it, because I don't think it's true.
Well, they keep saying it, but they don't show it that well. You know, they can say Iris is the team leader all they want, but how did she? Well, it goes to a deeper issue with Iris's character and how she's been developed and written and what she's been given to do, which is not well and not a lot. And so, okay, we'll stick her in as leader of Team Flash, but she doesn't have the science background. She doesn't have the superhero. I don't mean to slag on Iris, but this poor character has just sort of been abandoned with kind of crappy writing, I think. So I enjoyed her actually having something to do and the joy that she got out of it. However, in the end, when the meta says, okay, we're going to switch it back now. And she's okay, cool. Wouldn't you struggle with, I mean, like, obviously you have to give Barry back his powers. It's the Flash. He's the Flash. But wouldn't you struggle a little bit? You, Ed O'Hare, if you had superpowers and you had to give them back, wouldn't it be like, oh, I don't want to do this. How am I going to go back to my regular life?
Yeah, but she does give that speech at the end, to kind of show altruism. And she rediscovers her true passion and destiny in life, which is to blog.
I will punch you in the mouth. Yes, Iris, the passionate journalist, obviously.
How long do you think it's been since she updated that website?
a long time. That was, okay, a couple of things. That layout is bad. That's a bad web design. Number 2, those fingernails on a keyboard, she hasn't typed anything ever because she had to sort of keep her fingers like dancing on top of the keys. No actual writer typer has nails that long. You just can't do it. You cannot, Iris. The journalism thing has never felt natural to her. Leader of Team Flash has never felt natural. They just don't know what to do with her outside of be Barry's woman. And it frustrates me so much for her, for the character and the actress. And they can say over and over, oh, she's a passionate journalist. She's not. She has a blog. Yeah. Good God. How do they pay their rent? Honestly.
I mean, it is weird because Iris West in the comics is pretty much a poor woman's Lois Lane. And I guess you don't, she's a reporter. And I guess you don't want to just do a carbon clone of that because that would be kind of boring. And to distinguish her, I mean, it is, I don't know. I don't know what else to say about it. I guess the idea to make her a blogger is sensible. But
is it?
It's weird that yeah. I guess it's weird that they're married now because I always liked that idea in the beginning of him loving her from afar, and I guess eventually they have to get together. But if they're gonna be together now, yeah, I mean now it's funny people start talking about Iris has to get pregnant. And it feels like that's way too fast, but from a character arc sense, there's really not much more I could see for her to do.
Which, motherhood is powerful and beautiful, and if it gives her a renewed arc and purpose and meaning on the show, I'm all about it. But I don't necessarily trust the writers to write it that way, So it depends on how they handle it, but. Right. Also, hey, Ralph doubts his capacity for heroism. What a novel approach.
Yeah, enough is enough. This was the third time in a row that it happened. I'm exhausted with my thoughts on that. People know what I think because I've been saying them for the last month. So I really have nothing to add to that.
We do have another Glee actor who has appeared on the show. Max Adler, who played Dave Karofsky on Glee, was one of the metas who got powers thanks to our meta of the week, and he was a villain in a Kiss t-shirt, which I think more villains should wear Kiss t-shirts.
Yes. Yeah, and I will say Eric, the actor who played Eric Fry, I love that performance.
Oh yeah, me too.
Yeah. I thought that was great, and it was I actually felt a little disappointed that he was only in half the episode. That's someone I'd like to see a little bit more of him eventually. See him crop back up, and not just once to have the Thinker steal his brain and then he dies a couple of weeks later.
Becky.
Oh, Becky. Yeah. Yeah. What I mean from a story standpoint, did you like the Wells storyline? I thought that was interesting.
I did. To me, it just was one big red flag. Like, don't do it, Harry. Don't you do it.
Well, you see, it's funny because he lays out his logic and everything makes sense, and Cisco almost looks like a stick in the mud. Why are you I was almost why are you objecting to this? That was one point where I was actually seeing it from Ralph's point of view. Someone actually has an answer, and why are you dismissing this? Why aren't we at least just trying this just to see what happens? And I think,
and that's because I think Cisco has dealt with a lot of the different Harrys and knows just how bad things can go.
Yeah, I guess. All right. Did you have anything more you wanted to talk about?
No. Candace Patton did do an interview after this episode where she did reiterate that this has reignited Iris's passion for journalism. So everybody roll your eyes. And she said that we will find out soon why her jacket was purple. And she had no comment on Harry being a villain.
Okay. All right.
So, yeah.
All right. Next up, Black.
Oh, and last thing, Flash is off until April 10th.
Oh.
Just so everybody knows.
Okay. Cool. So, next up, Black Lightning. Season 1, Episode 8, The Book of Revelations. Jefferson began training Anissa as they tried to prove he didn't kill Lady Eve. Gamby wrestled over whether he should come clean with Jefferson about his past. Lynn discovered the research Anissa gave her was stolen and tried to track down the test samples. Lala hooked up with his old lackeys and had a nice chat with Lawanda's ghost. Jennifer was forced to intern for Lynn, hung out with Keisha, and accidentally electrocuted her phone when her adrenaline got too high. Last minute reveal, Jennifer showed Anissa the phone she fried and told her about her budding powers.
So can we talk about how this is a family that doesn't really keep secrets and how much healthier everybody is for it? Oliver Queen?
Yeah. You know what's... Although I will say Anissa did wait a while before showing her parents her powers. Although they accidentally stumbled onto them. I do like...
That's true.
Yeah. I guess it's because Jennifer's the younger sister. Like, she feels like she can confide in Anissa.
Well, and I feel like Anissa's secret keeping wasn't endangering people necessarily the way secret keeping on other shows, Arrow, tends to make things so much worse for people when they come out. Hers, it was kind of exploring, seeing what she could do. And she didn't know about her dad. So, anyway, I just appreciate the openness with which they are approaching these issues.
Yeah. And we had a lot. I had 5 storylines to keep track of in this episode.
We had a lot of stuff that got revealed here.
Oh yeah.
One being that we have introduced a new evil white dude, and of course it's played by Greg Henry, the evil white dude from every show you've ever loved, basically.
Yeah. Well, that wasn't David Morse.
Oh, of course.
But yeah, definitely. And we finally got, a clear picture of exactly where Gamby came from.
How did he get his Mad Taylor skills if that was his original background? It just feels like a weird pivot career-wise.
But you know what? You know what it reminds me of? And this is deep cut. Star Trek. Were you a fan of Star Trek Deep Space Nine?
Not really. Not that I wasn't a fan. I just didn't watch.
Okay. One of my favorite, probably my favorite character on that show was Garrick, who was the tailor. Who had a tailor shop on Deep Space Nine, and happened to be a former Cardassian assassin and spy, and ended up becoming very pivotal in the war with the Dominion. He was much more charming and interesting than Gamby was, but had a very similar setup. I almost feel like when you train to be a spy, they have to teach you another trade.
That's true. You do need a cover.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
Like whether it's gardening or landscaping, that kind of thing. But Taylor, it's the kind of thing where it's a small business. You have a certain kind of class of clientele, it's the kind of thing like where there aren't a lot of tailor shops around anymore. So if no one shows up in your shop, people won't bother. You probably have a lot of free time. But the fact that you have all this fancy stuff around, people may not question that you'll still be open because maybe one suit can pay you for the month. I don't know.
That's true. I like your rationale there. That's good logic.
Yeah.
I will say the scene Gamby had in the church with the old lady was one of the more painful ones the show has done.
Yeah.
I thought it was a little on the nose and.
Oh yeah. You talking about the church scene?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was awkward. Ugh. Yeah. I don't... yeah.
You know what else was awkward?
What's
Lala
that? Oh yeah.
in the shower with his photorealistic tattoo.
What is going on?
The world's worst game of Clue. What is going on? So weird. On all the shows, Black Lightning is so grounded in every other way. And then there's this tattoo woman kissing Lala in the shower in a way that makes us all real uncomfortable. What? I mean, I'm in it to see what's going to happen, but what?
Yeah, well, I think also the fact that he goes to his two guys who have obviously taken over his stomping grounds. I think that was a really dumb move on his part.
Yeah,
and it was interesting to see Lawanda's ghost call him out on that. First off, I want to see the one-sided conversation of that and what those guys took away from it. Because that was really weird, where he's trying to say why he wouldn't kill them. Who the hell are you talking to?
That's not a good conversation to overhear. If you're with somebody and they're like, no, I'm not going to kill him. What?
Yeah. I mean, are you okay that Lynn is okay? With Jefferson and Anissa, trained the way they do. I feel like we kind of went over that last week, but it seems like she's cool with it.
Yeah, which is a little surprising given how she's been in every single other episode. But kind of like you mentioned, without getting too spoilery, about the Flash with Cisco being like, why are you being such a wet blanket? She was getting to be kind of a wet blanket, even if she makes good points. So I'm glad that they haven't made her the constant, well, you shouldn't do that and you shouldn't do that. And, I think it would be hard to root for that character, even if she is probably speaking wisely, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. I'm glad she's, and I would think that she would want her daughter, if she's going to do it anyway, to be well trained. So there's something to, okay, fine, she's going to do it no matter what. So I may as well let my husband, who has literal decades of experience, tell her how to do this safely. And I liked his elation that his daughter saved his life when they were in the field. I enjoyed his, of course you're going to be happy that you didn't die, but to, the pride in your daughter and the adrenaline that comes from near death. That was very cool. I enjoyed that.
Yeah. And what did you think of their, I thought they showed really good detective skills in this.
Well, I love that Anissa is a smart woman. She's brainy, and he had to keep reminding her brain over brawn. And I think it's kind of cool that she's a brainiac who wants to use her brawn to do things, and he has to pull her back and say, nope, too much. Use your head, not your muscles, or your meta muscles, whatever. So I like that juxtaposition that you have this character who is wicked smart, and she used that to say, oh, if it was an electrocution like this, it would have been the tree branch, whatever, which I think is true and is super cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that scene in the forest, like, what? How is it that Bill Henderson was dragging his feet and did not get there in time? And who was that guy that did end up finding that gun?
I have no answers for any of that. I just know that the Freeland police are full of corruption.
What is he gonna think of that crime scene when he does stroll up upon it?
He's gonna be startled.
That is one thing. I guess they didn't want to pay the actor for this episode because he didn't show up. But it's funny. Was Tobias in this episode at all?
No, I don't believe he was.
Yeah. So this is a budget thing.
Well, Greg Henry costs money. You want an evil white guy in your show? You got to cut some people.
Yeah.
Greg Henry doesn't get out of bed for less than 3 third-tier supporting cast members' salaries for this episode.
All right. Yeah, so much to talk about. I really like the way the show is progressing.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
And they're balancing the tone a little better. Not a little better, but they're balancing it really well. I don't think it had to improve. I think it has continued to do a nice job of that sort of grounded, gritty approach, but also the superhero camp and the humor and the family dynamic. All of it just works really well together.
Yeah, and I'm kind of surprised that they're introducing Jennifer's powers so early, but...
I was too. That felt like a season finale thing.
Mm-hmm. But I like the way they're introducing it. Like, it does flow well. You know, it doesn't feel forced.
Yeah, I'm excited. And I'm excited to see if, will they all three train together? At that point, I feel like Lynn's going to feel really left out. I feel kind of bad for her there. I guess we'll have to see.
Yeah. Any news?
A couple things. Newsweek had an interesting article that suggests that since Grace is back in play, we saw Nyssa call Grace at the end of the last episode. Newsweek wonders if the Outsiders might be on the horizon. Ooh. Do you want to say things about that?
Yeah. The Outsiders was a team, I believe it was originally called Batman and the Outsiders. And it's come in a couple of different forms. One of them was sort of like a Teen Titans thing. That Jeff Johns wrote in the aughts, but in the 80s, it was basically this international team of superheroes that Batman put together. But Black Lightning was part of that. You also had Geo-Force. I think Grace Choi has been in some versions of it. But yeah, it's a superhero team. And they do cool things. I mean, I haven't read a lot of it, but. There's really not much more to say than that. But yeah. So if they're getting a team together and they already have enough characters on this show that you could form a team, I want to see who else that they throw into that mix.
That feels like a season 2 thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
But yeah, that's cool. Let's see what else was going on news-wise. The same Newsweek article suggested that in the comics, Lady Eve is connected to Cobra Cult, which would, based on its comics powers, have the ability to resurrect her. And also it could connect her and Tobias and Gambi all together. This came out before we saw this most recent episode where we got a little bit more information about Gambi. But once they said Lady Eve and resurrect, my ears pricked up because I quite enjoyed Lady Eve and I was not done envying her necklaces. So if Cobra Cult would like to show up and bring her back, cool.
Yeah, I will say that has to be a second season thing. Just because, I mean, if they do Cobra Cult the way they are in the comics, I mean, these people are literally in Cobra costumes. In gold and green Cobra costumes.
I mean, are you in a Cobra Cult if you're not in a gold and green Cobra costume?
So yeah, but and that is an international threat. So I mean, it's funny because this season has been so focused on Freeland and this one small thing, and if you show that it's just a piece of this larger global conspiracy, that seems like a huge leap. That I don't know if the show is ready to take just yet, but if that's the direction they're heading in, I'm excited to see it. Also one thing to talk about, that we didn't mention is like when Gambi laid out exactly what the ASA is doing in Freelands, and like you find out that this is this whole experiment that they've been doing.
Oh, blood curdling! Oh, yeah. So creepy.
Yeah. And like is it Tuskegee health incident? Like there was something where they proved that the government was intentionally poisoning people.
Well, Tuskegee Airmen was intentionally infecting the men with syphilis and then not treating them. To me, this felt, well, I mean, I don't want to say it felt worse because Tuskegee actually happened, but this was designed to make the more biddable and controllable, which more docile. That was the word. And that's what made me cringe, how awful and colonialist and but yeah, no, I do think there you could draw a parallel to Tuskegee very, very nicely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I do want to say, because people do often confuse them, the Tuskegee health incident is completely different from the Tuskegee Airmen.
Okay.
Who were fighter pilots in World War II. You can see mediocre movie read tales about that. George Lucas produced. I think
That's not a guarantee of quality.
No. There's a story about that, but I won't go on to it.
But we are talking about different incidents.
This is true. Yeah, and did want to clarify that. But yeah, so much to think about. Ooh, next week.
And speaking of, if you want more to think about, comicsverse.com has a fantastic article about the depictions of black villainy on Black Lightning, and how a lot of times in other stories it's how to be a good activist, and you want to be the good Martin Luther King activist, not a radical activist. And that this show really doesn't do that kind of dichotomy, and it takes on more subtle, nuanced approaches, internalized racism, things like that. It's way more than we can cover just in a little snapshot here. As I told Ed off mic before we started recording, it's the kind of thing I would assign to my media, race, and gender class and would expect us to discuss for a good half an hour. So comicsverse.com, I will try to remember to tweet that out. It's a really interesting conversation about race and villains and how Black Lightning is sort of subverting expectations.
Yeah.
And that's it for Black Lightning on my end.
All right. Cool. Moving on to Gotham. Season 4, Episode 14, A Dark Knight, Reunion. Ivy went after Harvey, while Jim and Selina tried to stop her from unleashing Lazarus flowers on the city. Bruce tried making up with Alfred and got the cold shoulder. Ed felt the Riddler taking over and contemplated desperate measures. Sophia strong-armed Lee for a heavy skim of the Narrows, and Lee scrambled to find a counteroffer. Last-minute reveal, Jim confessed to Harvey that he knew Sophia hired the pig and admitted that he is ready to take her down.
Okay, so how did Lee's hair get so long? First of all, it's long. Second of all, every time anybody talked about bending the knee, did they know that they were going to throw us immediately to Game of Thrones? You want the Narrows to bend the knee? No, I want you to stop using Game of Thrones language. It's confusing.
Well, first off, those are extensions. You'd be like, the one thing the Narrows is known is for hairstyling. They have some incredible salons, beauty salons.
Fair play.
Yeah. And also, I didn't get that reference because I don't watch Game of Thrones.
I don't know how we do this podcast together, honestly. Anybody who watches Game of Thrones, every time when they said bend the knee like 8 times, we're just every time laughed because that's all they talked about last season. So, yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny because like when you throw out that 30%, Sophia had no intention of collecting on that. I think she was, she's just trying to do something to eliminate Lee. And you know what? When she got the hammer, literally, that was tough to watch.
I'm still not over that. They showed way more of that than I was comfortable with. And poor Lee, does she bounce back? And is she able to doctor after that? Am I thinking too much about Sons of Anarchy, where a hand injury kept a doctor from doctoring in the future, and Lee is going to be in the same situation? I worried about that.
Well, she's not a surgeon, so
that's true. She's more family practice.
Yeah. I would say she's like an internist or a general practitioner, at least at this point. So I don't see that holding her back as much, but it doesn't help.
That was still horrific. It was horrific.
Yeah.
Dang, Sophia.
Yeah. I really liked Alfred in this episode.
Yes.
To a point. I mean, I guess, they're gonna get together at the end. And I guess it was kind of earned. When he was like, show me. It's funny, like, even in that scene when Bruce does make that speech to the gala, it did feel like, oh, Alfred's immediately going to swoon. And you thought he was going to do that, but he still put out that one thing at the end, that one jagged edge, like, no, you've got to accept what you're doing and take it further. And Bruce walked away. And I thought that was a nice touch.
Yeah, they're making him work for it. You know, you can't. I'm glad Bruce was a monster, and Alfred is right to guard his heart a little bit.
Do you think Bruce should have run away?
Maybe. I don't know. What do you think?
I think he has to. Because I mean, I do like because he's looking out for Jim.
Yeah.
Because that's the one thing Jim Gordon. In the comics, they established that Jim Gordon does not want to know who Batman is. He feels like he needs that anonymity in order to work with him. So I like the way that they established that, and that does very much fit with the comics.
Speaking of Jim, I like that he was worried about Harvey. I liked that he's already dead. No, he's not. It's just Harvey. But I like that relationship is continuing, and that Harvey still has some things to do, even though he's a barkeep and not a cop.
Yeah. And I thought this was a nice comeback for Harvey. It's funny, like Jim laid out that he's ready to take her down, but did we really get a response from Harvey that he was going to join him?
No, not really.
What did you think of Ivy and Selena in this episode?
Ooh, I loved it. Mm-hmm. Yes, yeah. I liked that dynamic quite a bit, and I like when I always kind of love a villain who shows mercy to a former friend. And it's like, this is one chance. Don't get in my way. So I dug that. It maybe isn't. It was expected. Nothing happened there that I didn't sort of expect to happen, given their past relationship and how they've been shaping up. But I still enjoyed watching it go down.
Yeah, I loved that showdown.
Yes.
Yeah. And the way she used the whip, that fight felt very practical. In the way that they choreographed that. Is it a shame that the Lazarus water was destroyed, or do you think that's a good thing that that had to go?
I think it was a good thing. I do. I think it was a good thing. I thought Ivy was going to react worse than she did, I guess. When that happened, I was just like, oh, so I mean, like, I know you're not going to die, Selena, but oh my God. That's oh. But yeah, I thought Ivy might get a little scratchy.
Yeah. I'm ready for Ra's al Ghul to come back into the picture.
Well, I guess he was in the dream sequence, so they still have his number. Alexander Siddig.
Yeah. But I mean, no. Like, he has to show up again. It can't have ended that way. There has to be something that's like he has to show up before the end of this season. I feel like there's a way to resolve that, because there's too much, there's too much fruit hanging there. Yeah. What was there anything else?
I mean the Riddler, but I don't have the strength. So
oh no,
if you wanna,
you didn't like that? You didn't like that?
I don't know, the cackling, talking to yourself. It just didn't work for me. I don't. Nothing about Arkham, nothing about Penguin Joker is really not Joker. Penguin Riddler, frankly, Joker is working for me. This back half of the season, it's I don't know what it is. It's just vibrating at a frequency that I'm not enjoying all that much, and I feel bad because it's Gotham's campy stock in trade, and I should be all about it. But for some reason, I just kind of want to get back to the cops and Bruce and Alfred and Selena and Ivy stuff.
Yeah. It's funny because like this is like the stuff the show is kind of known for.
Mm-hmm. I know. I feel like if I don't like this, I don't like the show, and that's not the case at all. But there you are.
Yeah, I liked the twist at the end. I like with the hidden riddle in the note.
True.
I thought that was really clever. And. I like the way that Ed was used, and you realize just how stupid he really is.
Ed.
Ed. But by the way, if you listen to the Gotham Lights podcast, it's always weird for me to talk about that because whenever Steph and Henno talk about Ed, I feel like they're talking about me, and then I have to realize, oh no, that's the Riddler. Um,
No, I think they actually are talking about you.
I was not
It's just
contemplating
code.
I was not contemplating suicide this week. I did not kill my girlfriend 2 seasons ago. But yeah.
Or did you? Dun, 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 dun.
Cool. Was there any news for Gotham?
Just that Fox execs are needing to find another night for Gotham if it comes back for another season, because its Thursday night perch is going the way of football. So that takes up a lot of real estate in the primetime lineup. So they're going to need to find another time slot that's going to work for the show. And so whether that's going to be something that's canceled, or if they shorten the season and have it as a mid-season replacement, they might have to get creative. But it sounded like execs weren't saying say goodbye to the show. They were saying we're going to have to try some things with it. So I think, all things considered, that's probably good. Not so good, depending on how you're feeling about this season. Peyton List, who is the new Ivy, is starring in a Fox pilot based on the Dennis Lehane book Gone Baby Gone, which was was it a Ben Affleck directed movie about 10 years ago?
Yes.
So I would say goodbye to Ivy, which probably, I mean, she strikes me as a half a season villain anyway. But if she's going to be the lead, probably we're not going to get a ton of this version of Ivy. They could keep aging her until she's the old lady at the end of Titanic, I suppose, but I doubt it. So that's what I got on Gotham.
I just realized that I didn't go back to Dan's email and the tweets that we had. I'm sorry. And he didn't have anything to say about Gotham. I apologize. I gotta figure out a way to do this. I will make this up to you. But there is one tweet that we can get to in the news. Which I think we can start now. So
Arrow.
Coming to the home stretch. Let's break this down.
All right, so not any real new news about Arrow, but the next episode that airs on the 29th is the one that we talked about several podcasts ago that the showrunners are billing as the episode that will change Arrow forever. I remember being super skeptical when we reported on it a couple of months ago. I remain super skeptical about how much, shows always say that, but they've been reiterating that message. It's going to change Arrow forever. So I know the League of Assassins is back. It's Thea-centric. So we'll see if it lives up to the hype. And as a reminder, Arrow is off this coming week.
Okay.
And we have a tweet. Yeah?
Yes. Bowerfett, at Bowerfett on Twitter, he wanted to let you know that it could be argued that you could see Oracle every week. Felicity as Overwatch is Oracle. And you trade Ollie for Dick Grayson, you're set, even wheelchair bound for half a season.
I remember seeing people talk about, Felicity, is she going to become Oracle seasons ago? And I thought the showrunners made it pretty clear, no, never. She is Felicity. She's not Oracle. But my cursory understanding of that character is, there's a lot of similarities. Ed, is he barking up the right tree there?
Yeah, there is a lot of similarities. The one different dynamic is that because Barbara Gordon was Batgirl, she does know what it's like to be in the field. And the thing is, like, she's always kind of like really eager to help. And so, she's a little bit with strategy also because, Felicity is a little bit of a brighter tone. I think definitely, it's funny because like Birds of Prey, the original Birds of Prey team was, Barbara Gordon, Oracle, Black Canary, and the Huntress, Helena Bertinelli. And there was an episode in season 2 where Black Canary and Huntress were together. I think that episode was actually called Birds of Prey. But yeah. I mean, there's definitely a lot of similarities. It's funny because Arrow has acknowledged Oracle, because I remember when Felicity got the Overwatch handle, Oliver doing a throwaway line, well, there already is an Oracle. And they were throwing it out there because like Berlanti wanted to be specific that like she's not Oracle. Even though like her job description, really is. And also the fact that she's wheelchair bound does play a much larger role in Barbara Gordon's character.
Sure.
Because like you could tell throughout there that she wants to be out there, and that's why she's so eager to help. But yeah, I think I'm starting to ramble, so please save me.
In conclusion, I'd like to see a Birds of Prey show in the year of our Lord 2018.
Yeah. Go check out that one from the early aughts.
I should. Maybe we can do that on an off month if we ever have too few shows.
Yeah.
All right. Krypton? Krypton debuts on Wednesday. We've been talking about it forever and ever and ever, but here comes Krypton. So, of course, we have... go ahead.
Since it premieres, you just heard the last time you're going to hear that drop of Krypton music. Next time it's going to be... It's a premiere, so we're actually going to get
genuinely sad. I would like... I moved to keep Ed's version. Ed, would you like to second?
I don't know, because it's always weird, because I feel like we should pause for a second, and we never do. When we go on to that.
That's true.
I keep forgetting to do that with iZombie, because the iZombie drop is it's words, so it's I am already dead. I love the sound of that.
I dug up the whole song and I listened to it more than I should on my iTunes because it's catchy. Anyway, Krypton. So debuts Wednesday. Of course, there's a big glut of kind of pre-show hype articles and things like that. There's a great one over on The Verge, very long interview with showrunner Cameron Welsh, who talks about how they want to treat it like sci-fi that holds a mirror up to society. So it's not our society, but it's reflecting on things we deal with. It wants to be conscious, but not overly political. And then what I thought was kind of interesting was the interviewer for The Verge disagreed and said, actually, you have a lot of politics in here. You have a lot of religion in here. You explicitly reference the Eric Garner I can't breathe situation with law enforcement in Krypton. So the showrunners might think they're being subtle, but the Verge reporter disagreed with that. Other thoughts from there was that this is not part of film DC or TV DC. This is its own thing. So they're not going to have crossover. They're not going to have references. They can kind of do their own thing. But that also means there are a lot of characters they can't touch. They used a lot of concept artists and futurists to help design the look of the world, which we've talked about in the past. There were a couple of examples in this article. The upper class, the guild, they're shot generally in warm and golden tones, like they're closer to the sun, because their sun god is Rao, and that's kind of trying to indicate that the upper class is closer to God. The rankless, it's darker and chillier lighting overall. There's military areas that are sort of harsh and utilitarian. So they're very conscious with how they have designed the world. And they're proud of their ethnic and racial diversity, both in front of and behind the cameras, which actually ties into a comicbook.com article that calls the show quietly subversive in its gender roles, in that it doesn't make a big deal about, look, women leaders. It just has women leading because it's a gender fluid society. And that's just, men versus women. There's not that. It's just the best person for the job. And so there's, again, a lot of representation in front of and behind the camera. And then we have a couple of reviews that came out. I thought the one that I liked best was a review from IGN that said what we have heard in the past, which is that it's a lot like the Snyderverse, so it's kind of that dark Snyder tones, but that there is some comedy with this show. It says that, I know, everything I've seen about the show does not scream comedy, so I'm curious about that. Cameron Cuff, who plays the lead, this review says has the rakish charisma of a James T. Kirk.
Whoa, hang on.
I need to know what version of James T. Kirk.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves here.
Maybe he's going to be your next James T. Kirk. You don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Is it that heresy? It's heresy.
Yeah.
And then here's another tidbit, mostly I'm including for you, Ed. David S. Goyer and Jeff Johns have name dropped while promoting this series things like Thanagar, the Omega Man, and the Green Lantern Corps. So this review says maybe future seasons would involve some planet hopping, which would be cool.
Okay, couple things. Omega Men, that's kind of a loose corollary to Guardians of the Galaxy. Not really, but sort of. What else? Green Lantern. I mean, if we get Green Lanterns in this, I don't know. I mean,
they can't do any worse than the movie, so.
No. No, but like that's one of those concepts that's like so, because it's cops in space, and it's one of those things like visually I can see being so hard to pull off, but like if you can even just get a piece of that, there's so much more there. Like that movie is not representative of how deep you can go with the Green Lantern Corps. And also planet hopping would be very interesting, because if you read World of Krypton, which I know a lot of this is drawing from, there was a version of that where there was a virus that was within Krypton's atmosphere at one point that made it impossible for Kryptonians to live outside of the atmosphere. Like the second you broke into outer space, you would, Kryptonians would shrivel up and die. So I'd be interested to see if that's the case in here, and somehow that barrier gets taken down, and all of a sudden Kryptonians are able to go out into the universe and start spreading their technology. And if maybe that has something to do with why the planet is on such unstable ground in a couple generations. So something to think, a lot of things to think about there.
Okay, one more thing to think about from this IGN review. It praises how beautiful the show, or the pilot, is. It says it has the kind of care and attention to detail that seemed wholly absent from Marvel's Inhumans, which chose to present its alien world with all the visual inventiveness of a trip to IKEA. And I'm always here for an Inhuman slam, so thank you, IGN.
Brilliant. Yes. All right.
Okay, now I'm going to crash through news for 3 different shows. We're going to do it fast because this has been long. Titans. The 7th episode of the television show Titans is called Jason Todd. Ed, why is that significant?
Jason Todd was the second Robin. I think this, to me, confirms that Dick Grayson will become Nightwing over the course of this show. Because Jason Todd pretty much was created by DC Comics writers because Dick Grayson became Nightwing, and someone thought that there should still be a Robin. It was not a very well-liked character, so much so that famously there was a point where Jason Todd was cornered by the Joker, and DC Comics put out two 1-900 numbers that you could call, and they let fans decide whether or not Jason Todd would survive this explosion, and the fans voted to kill him.
Dang.
So yeah, he was this annoying brat who didn't really deserve to be in the Robin suit. And Batman acted hastily, and he learned a lot from that decision. That's a great story arc in Batman, but I doubt that he will be killed in this show, at least not the beginning. And this, to me, I want to know how much Batman we're going to see in Titans now. There's a lot of questions. And when is this show airing? And what is the name of the service going to be called? And when is it
launching? And how much is it going to cost? And how are we going to access it?
Yeah. Like, do we just make this happen? Like, just make it now. Just put the service up now. Tell me Titans is coming in 6 months. That's fine. I'm fine with that. But I just want to be able to go on there and watch my Swamp Thing and my Superboy and all the other backlog of all those Filmation cartoons. Sarah, do you realize how much content they already have built in for this streaming service that is just waiting to be unleashed on the world?
It's going to happen, I believe. Maybe in 2019.
All right. Next up.
Okay, Watchmen, the pilot, will be filmed in Vancouver. So that's happening. Yay. Metropolis. I mean, like, we can do this real fast. I hope the Vancouver look will be right for Watchmen, which feels kind of, New Yorky. So I trust them. HBO doesn't generally make anything bad. So, Metropolis. There's a writer that's been announced.
Music.
David Paul Francis is going to move from being a writer on Krypton to being a writer for Metropolis. So, keeping it in the DC family.
That's it?
And that's it. Here endeth the news.
Wow. Okay. So I guess now that means we get to our winners for the week.
You know, I struggled this week. I just struggled. And so my winner is weak sauce, but it is Ghosts That Freak Me Out. Legends had terrible CGI ghosts that were not scary or effectively done and were therefore upsetting to me because yikes. And then Black Lightning has a ghost that is so baffling and so strange and so out there for that show that it also sort of terrifies me in a different way. So ghosts, really strange ghosts that upset me in different ways. Winner of the week.
You know, I struggle with this. I struggle with this too, and I'm actually calling an audible because originally I was thinking Selena Kyle, for her showdown with Ivy. But you know what? The more and more I think about that dance scene for Lucifer, I'm gonna go with that I Will Survive number that Lucifer and Azara did this week. That was incredible. And I want Tom Ellis to do more of that. Just saying.
That's a good choice.
Yeah. Oh, we got to end the show. Thanks everyone for listening. That's the DC TV report for this week. You can find us on Twitter. I'm at Edward O'Hare TBD.
And I'm at Sara Netzley, SaraNetzley.
And be sure to follow the show on Twitter at DCTV Report. Send along your emails to dctv@wickedtheory.com. Also, be sure to subscribe to our show on your podcast app of choice and check out our sister shows, the Wicked Theory Podcast and Preacher vs. Preacher. This has been a Wicked Theory Studios production. Executive producer Bill Sweeney. Visit us at wickedtheory.com. Shazam, everybody.
Shazam.
Shazam!